This podcast has been produced by Contact a Family, the national UK charity for families with disabled children. It's part of a series looking at the benefits which families with disabled children can claim. For this podcast, I spoke to two of Contact a Family's helpline advisors about the main features of Carers Allowance.
Carers Allowance is the main entitlement for carers, and that's carers of anyone of any age. You can get it if you're looking after someone for at least 35 hours per week, and the person you're looking after is getting the middle or the high rate of a delayed care component. So most parents will be able to get it. If you work, there is an earnings limit of £100 per week, so that could affect your right to entitlement. Your partner's earnings don't come into it, so it's just the earnings of the carer. Additionally, you're not allowed to be in full-time education. It's neither based on contributions or finances or savings. So again, it means that a lot of parents will qualify, provided of course the child is getting the qualifying rate of DLA, Disability Living Allowance.
The earnings limit, is that likely to change? Is that reviewed annually?
It could change, but we don't know. Anything could happen, so it's wise for families to get advice at the time just to make sure they don't lose out.
If a carer works and has expenses coming out of their salary, for example childcare or rent and mortgage payments, is this taken into account when assessing their eligibility for Carers Allowance?
Certain expenses are recognised. So we're talking about £100 after deductible expenses, such as national insurance contributions, income tax. If you pay anything towards a personal pension scheme, an occupational pension scheme, then half of that contribution is disregarded. Alternative care costs can also be taken into account. So that's care you may pay for looking after a child whilst you're at work, and it doesn't have to be the disabled child. There is a limit, though, as to how much can be taken into account. There's a maximum deduction for care costs of 50% of your net earnings. Additionally, the carer that you pay must not be a close relative. So it doesn't have to be a registered childminder, but it must not be a close relative, which includes a parent, son, daughter, brother, sister or partner of you or the person you care for. So theoretically, money you pay to your mother-in-law could be a deductible expense. If you work as a childminder, it's also worth noting that the assessment of your earnings is much more generous. Only a third of your earnings are taken into account. So you could actually be earning a lot more, but still be able to satisfy the £100 earnings rule.
Would receipt of Carers Allowance impact on any other benefits you might receive?
Yes, if you're getting a means-tested benefit, such as income support, then Carers Allowance will obviously be taken into account. But overall, parents are still better off because they qualify for the carer premium. So in most cases, a lot of families are better off by about £30 per week. If you're getting child tax credit, that won't be affected. If you're a working family, though, and getting working tax credit, then possibly getting Carers Allowance could have an effect on your entitlement. Carers Allowance is taxable, which means it can be taken into account. It's taxable income. So it's wise to get advice about how Carers Allowance might affect your entitlement if you're worried that you'll be any worse off.
Also, while you're claiming Carers Allowance, it does mean that your national insurance contributions are credited. So when you get to state pension age, you won't be penalised for not working over those years during which you were receiving Carers Allowance.
If a parent with caring responsibilities is retired and is in receipt of a retirement pension, would they still be eligible to claim Carers Allowance?
They'd still be eligible to claim Carers Allowance, but they might not receive it if they were getting state retirement pension, as it's subject to what they call the overlapping benefit rules. And what that means is you get the benefit that is worth more in pounds, but there might be underlying premiums, as Jessin mentioned earlier, with income support that you are entitled to. So again, it's worth getting advice because even though you don't receive Carers Allowance, it might still be in your interest to claim it.
In some situations, a child might be looked after by a grandparent or a relative. Would Carers Allowance still be applicable here?
Yeah, as long as the person claiming meets the rules, that they're claiming for someone for 35 hours or more who's receiving the qualifying benefits, then they're entitled to claim. And that might be good if mum and dad are working, but say grandmother could live a couple of streets away and be doing the actual caring, so that's fine.
How does somebody claim Carers Allowance?
Well, the main form for Carers Allowance, it's called a DS700. It's available from the Benefits Inquiry line, and the number is 0800 8822 00, or you could try your local benefits office or your local carer centre or advice service like the Citizens Advice Bureau.
I understand it's less complicated than the DLA form.
Definitely, it's a breeze compared to the DLA form. But if there are any difficulties, families can just ring the helpline. We can try and guide them through that, but it is relatively straightforward.
For help and advice about the benefits that you're entitled to claim, please call our free phone helpline on 0808 808 3555. Our publication, Benefits, Tax Credits and Other Financial Help, provides an overview of the main benefits families can claim. This publication can be downloaded from our website at www.cafamily.org.uk or ordered from the helpline, and the number again is 0808 808 3555. This podcast was produced in November 2010, and all information was accurate at the time of production.